Welcome, folks. Hope you're all successfully joined in. My name's Paul McCallum. I'll be the Oxford Sales Consultant that's taking you through today's Connect and Consolidate Grammatical Understanding webinar. Just would like you to have a look at this first slide before we move on, and while people are still coming in as well. We welcome you, of course. We appreciate we understand how valuable teachers' time is, so any time that you can give to us and attend our webinars, we really appreciate it. We hope you get a bit out of it today. If you do have questions, look, I think I'll touch on pretty much everything today, but look, we know that we might miss something. There might be a burning question that you have. You can always put them in the Q&A section as we go through. If you want to wait until the end, you can put them in as well. We'll have a Q&A session. I'll talk about the structure of the webinar in just a minute as well. So the Q&A section, you'll see in the boxes that come up if you highlight over your screen, it says Q&A, just type in anything that you have there. If you are having technical difficulties, which we know happens if we do as well, you'll be able to get the recording and watch it again, so please don't stress about that if you get logged out or something happens today. We understand that technology is great when it works. When it doesn't, it can be a pain, but yeah, we'll have that recording for you to access at any time. Once we finish today, we'll email that out to you, and you can also forward that to any of your colleagues that are interested in having a look as well. So thank you again for joining us today. Before we go on, I just wanted to mention about Oxford itself. A lot of people are not aware that Oxford is a not-for-profit organisation. The mission of the Oxford University Press is to create world-class research-based resources, and one of those is Oxford Grammar, which is why we're here today, and we'll be examining a bit more thoroughly as we progress through. So today's schedule, there is a bit to get through, so I'll be moving fairly quickly. As I said, it is recorded. You've got the Q&A. You can type in at any time, and we'll have that little sort of Q&A plenary at the end of as well. So the introduction to Oxford Grammar we'll start off with. We'll delve into the new Teacher Handbooks today as well, which are a new component of Oxford Grammar, which is fantastic. We'll have a look at the second edition of the Oxford Grammar student books, which look fantastic. I've got my copies here. Very excited to have them, and I'm sure you'll be excited to look through them again today as well. Oxford Grammar also has online resources, which we'll look through today as well, and as I mentioned, the Q&A session also. So we're going to go for about 40 minutes today. We'll try and leave at least 10 minutes for that Q&A at the end. So as I said, around 30 minutes that I'll be presenting and hopefully touch on everything that we need to give you that information about the new second edition and new additions to Oxford Grammar. So what is Oxford Grammar? First published in 2012, written by highly experienced teacher and author Andrew Woods, who's also authored the new editions, of course. He also authored the preceding series, Everyday Grammar, which you may have seen or used previously as well in 2004. We're now delighted to introduce Oxford Grammar, the second edition, and that will be replacing Oxford Grammar first edition and also Everyday Grammar as well. So the new edition, the second edition, retains that structure and flow of the original workbooks. So again, you'll see that today. It includes in stimulus pages, authentic literacy text. It continues to explore those grammatical features, word, sentence and text level, engages teachers using the trusted method of teaching grammar in context, which shows that is the best way to actually teach and learn grammar as well. The series will focus on developing an understanding of the purpose of grammar as well, which in turn helps students with that application of that knowledge to become more effective writers. And that's what we want to see is, not just learning for the sake of it, not just learning grammar concepts to, not apply in their own writing in that setting as well. So what I wanted to do was start off with the new Teacher Handbooks. I'd like to start here because I think it'll assist in showing how this teacher resource is there to support teachers in a classroom in implementing Oxford Grammar to a new level and allowing it to become a more complete program as well. We know that sometimes schools are hesitant to use a textbook because they think that it might just be plonked down and students, it's busy work and work through it and come and see me at the end. But that's definitely not what this program is designed to do. And that's why we've introduced these new teacher books, F2 and 3-6, so that you and your school can see and implement a successful, well-rounded grammar program. So they're brand new teacher books wrap a program of delivery around Oxford Grammar with detailed lesson plans. They have guidance there as well. There's a structured front of class program for the foundation year, prep or kindy, whatever it is that you use in your particular state or territory. There is no Oxford Grammar Foundation student book, and the reason for this was that the feedback given was students probably learn best in those early years through front of class teaching, so that's why there wasn't a student book that was developed, but it is fully supported still, that teaching inside that Oxford Grammar teacher book, which will follow the same structure that we talked through today as well. So teachers are fully supported to deliver the requirements of the Australian curriculum, but also New South Wales and Victorian curricula as well, and I'll talk more about this soon in slides that are coming up. It aligns with the national literacy progression also. It enables teachers then to identify and meet those key indicators of grammar development over time. So that's something that's part of ACARA, and we've incorporated that into the program as well. The handbooks contain detailed lesson plans, as I've mentioned. They help students make those authentic connections, see value in the learning by starting with provoking and inspiring those grammatical concepts. Helps you understand what students already know so they can be catered for in their independent needs. Establish that learning intention, that's the anchor for the session, but also can be used for that reflection as well. Support and underpin the activities in the student books through the investigation of the language focus. So there's a lot of additional teacher activities that can be incorporated as part of that explicit teaching, and then to assist with that consolidation in the student text as well. And it caters for students requiring additional support or extension with additional differentiation activities and strategies as well, which is fantastic because, as we know, teachers, there's no robots in your classroom, not everyone is at the same level. There's definitely need for support and also extension in your classroom at all times, and that's now been provided for in this particular text. And then there's also opportunities for that reflection and application of the learning as well, which again I talked about before. We don't want to just teach for the sake of teaching. We want to see the application of what we're teaching students through this program applied in their own writing. So there is a teaching plan that's been incorporated into the Oxford Teacher Book, and you'll see this is consistent through years 1 through to 6, which is good for consistency across school, for teachers that are moving different levels, and also your students as they're progressing through as well. They become consistent and confident and understanding how the program's designed to be used. So you can see here we start with the provoke and inspire, and these activities are designed to create that curiosity and interest with students to make those authentic connections when we're first introducing different grammatical concepts. And then from there we, as teachers, use the ask and assess, and those questions that are provided to help assess prior knowledge and cater for each student's individual needs, as we talked about before. What do they know? What don't they know? Am I going to have to assist them more? Am I going to need to extend these students because they already have a good grasp of this particular concept? And that's where the teacher book and the activities are designed to assist with that as well. The learning intention, so again, this helps students focus on what they need to learn, what the outcomes are, and the expectations of those outcomes as well. And that will help and assist when we get to that reflection stage about what you have learned and what you know. And that learning intention is designed to assist with that. The investigation through activities, which we've already touched on as well. So those student book activities and those explicit teacher-led activities that are referenced in the teacher book are designed to help with that consolidation of what you are teaching in the classroom. So again, it's not just busy work. It's not just plonking the student book down in front of your students and saying, see me at the end. It is about doing all these things, provoking and inspiring about the grammatical concept you're introducing, asking and assessing that prior knowledge with your students, setting the learning intention of what we're going to learn after we've completed this and we can reflect upon that. Then incorporating some of those learning and explicit teaching activities in the teacher book and consolidating with what's in the student book with that as well. And then we can differentiate, as we've talked about, with those activities and ideas that are supplied in the teacher book, and then also that reflection on learning when we can then use the test yourself component that's part of the student books, which we'll talk about very shortly, and also the time to reflect pages in the student books as well, and they're found at the back of the student books. And also we can use the students' writing and their ongoing writing and seeing how they're actually incorporating what we're teaching them. Are they applying this knowledge when they're utilising their own writing as well? So the teacher handbook and the way it's lined out, you'll see here the way that it's referenced. We can see the topics. There's the topics in the student book are also referenced in the teacher book as well, and inside those topics are a number of units that focus on that particular grammatical feature that you're focusing on. So you can see the learning outcomes are referenced here, the AC content descriptors as well. It also talks about some of the vocab that you might need to know. You can reference this at the glossaries at the back of the student book. You can highlight by projecting those from Oxford Owl, which we'll talk about very soon as well. You can also use some of the videos that are found at Oxford Owl as well. Again, we'll talk about that very shortly. Some of the common errors that you might come across with your students, you can preempt some of this with some of the ideas that are in here, and also tackle with some of the strategies that are provided as well. Resources that you'll need, it's all referenced here to help you prepare. Some of the other teacher prep that you'll need to do as well before tackling some of these, that explicit teaching that's part of the provoke and inspire, asking and assessing prior to knowledge, and then that component where we're setting the learning intention and the investigation through the activities and other explicit teaching. So the curriculum alignment, you'll see on the left-hand side here, the Australian curriculum content descriptors are referenced in the tables that are found in the teacher book. They're also found in the curriculum mapping along with the New South Wales curriculum syllabus and Victorian curriculum at Oxford Owl. And again, I'll show you where that is very shortly as well. But you'll see the way that they're referenced, what the focus is. You'll see the different stages or levels are referenced there, and then what the units are that you'll find in the Oxford Grammar books that cover that. Going on and continuing with what's inside those teacher handbooks and following that teaching plan that I referenced before, you have set the learning intention, and then you can see here the investigate, which is then where we focus in on the grammatical concepts. We're focusing in on what the units are as part of the student book activities, and also those explicit teaching activities that are part of this as well. So that will reference those here. We can utilise those when and where we need them. So again, it's up to you as a teacher to decide what you want to use. You might be a fairly new teacher where you need a bit more support, and you might take a bit more from this, whereas you might have 30 years experience as a teacher and just take bits and pieces of this and use that structure as well. So again, it's there designed to help support the teachers in the classroom and to make sure that, again, this is a well-rounded part of your literacy program as well. The differentiation is referenced here, as I mentioned before, the EAL students if you need assistance with those, or students that are at a lower level, and also those extension students that need that those extension activities and ideas. Again, it doesn't sound like much, but when you're in the classroom and you need to find something, you can preempt all this again with these activities and ideas that are in here to extend those students, not just with busy work, but actual work that's applicable to what you've been teaching them. The reflection and where to next is important, so students have an understanding of what they've just learned and how it can be applied in their own writing. So that's what we want to use, that reflection is to bounce from here. And that's there's questions provided in here for teachers to utilise, and it's there to help encourage that self-reflection with your students. And it also connects with the test yourself pages, which we'll look at in just a minute in the rest of the presentation as well. There's suggested text for learning and teaching activities in here, so further stimulus literature that you can use, what the topic and text type that is, the grammatical structures that are referenced here. Some of the Oxford Reading for Comprehension titles are referenced in here as well, because they are very useful if you have them in your classroom already in your school, or if you don't, you can then go and purchase them if need be. They're great for guided reading, great to help support and consolidate those concepts that you're teaching as part of Oxford Grammar. The suggested yearly term planner is also referenced at Oxford Hour. So there's a suggested outline for each week from terms 1 to 4. 20 to 30 minutes is suggested between each session, a focus on teaching 1 unit per week. So you'll see the topics is between sort of 6 and 8 topics in each of the student books from years 1 through to 6. In each of those topics there are a number of units, and inside those units is where you will fit inside these sessions and through the weeks of your term as well. So you can see the week 1 suggestion there. Do the session 1, the provoke and inspire that we've talked about, following that teaching plan. It's referenced in the teacher book. Assessing prior knowledge, it's questioning your students, seeing where they're at, and then setting up for differentiation if needed. Session 2 is that investigate with explicit teaching and activities in the student book as well. And session 3 is further with those activities and feedback. You can see with weeks 2 to 9 following very similar outline, and also week 10 where investigate, we incorporate the activity in session 2, and then that test yourself, and that reflection happens using those activities in the student books, and also any other questioning that comes from teachers as well, which again is referenced in those teacher books. All right, so those teacher books, as I said, very comprehensive. There's 2 of them, F to 2 and also a 3 to 6 book, and they're to support you in all that explicit teaching, and again to make Oxford Grammar even more well-rounded program in your classroom and in your school. So let's have a look at the student books now. The second edition of Oxford Grammar. As you can see, the covers of the new Oxford Grammar titles here. So let's have a look inside. So what you'll find in here, that they're designed to support and engage your students to connect and consolidate their grammatical understanding. Again, very engaging with the resources that are in here, the text types as well, and the different monsters also that host and assist in each book. They're aligned to the Australian curriculum, the Victorian and New South Wales curricula as well. New content has been added to make sure that they are very comprehensive and that there is complete coverage of the curriculum. New full colour designs and fresh illustrations, so they're very engaging to look at, and your students will be very excited to use them. As I said, the grammar monsters are here. So you can see little Cara there in the corner. They'll pop up now and again inside the books as well, with little hints and tips in relation to that grammatical features that you're focusing on. So here are the hosts, the Oxford Grammar Monster hosts. So you can see from 1 through to 6, Em, Max, Ali, Sammy, Trang and Cara. And they also time with Monster School, which is one of the Reading for Comprehension books, and there's where these monsters have been taken from as well. So you might have that in your school already, but you'll see how they time with Oxford Grammar also. So let's take a look inside the book. So you can see the contents page here. It's been reorganised to provide more easy access to that language focus, which you can see referenced here. So again, the topics up the top, we can see this is the nouns topic. We can then see the units that are referenced down the left-hand side, what the language focus is each of those units as well. And those smaller units are then designed to focus on specific grammatical focus. And that's exemplified then by the literature stimulus, as you can see on the right-hand side with the title there. And they're found in each of the activity pages. So each topic then finishes with an Extend Yourself unit that gives each of the students an opportunity to explore and apply that focus of that grammatical feature of the topic units that they've just learned, and in context as well. So if we look at the student book and the way that it's laid out, so once we move from the contents page, we are, again, utilising what's in the teacher book to introduce all of these different, the new topics and concepts that are part of that. Then we go into the units and those activities to consolidate. So looking at the sample page, we can see on number 1 here, each unit opens with that stimulus page, so an image, a poem, a text, an extract, comic strip, or other text types, narratives, procedurals, expositions, and so on. And that's where we read together with our students. Teachers read with their students, and it's a nice introduction. And that stimulus is then used to to focus in on the grammatical concept, which is clearly explained for every unit. As you can see number 2 here, and from there, those number 3, the activities related to that stimulus page carefully build students' understanding of that unit focus. So they build on and increasing difficulty as they move through until we get to number 4, which is at the end of each spread, there ends with an activity to challenge the students as well. It's a bit of an extension activity, and now try this in years 1 and 2, and it is referenced as a challenge activity in years 3 through to 6. So again, it's students, the aim of this is that for students to become engaged with understanding what the grammar focus is, increasingly proficient at creating text for a range of purposes as well, and in the application of using this grammatical knowledge, and hopefully improve their writing. And again, using this engaging literature focus, and then those activities to build that understanding and knowledge and that consolidation of understanding from these activities, but also that explicit teaching that's taking place in the classroom as well. So using grammar and also the extension and enrichment topics and their units allow for that application of grammar concepts that have been learnt via different text types as well. So you'll find that these topics and units are usually the second last and last topics that are found in the student books, and that's all the way through across years 1 through to 6 as well. So with these topics and units, they allow for that application again, of further application of those grammar concepts that have been learnt in the previous topics as well. And you'll find, as I said, in years 1 through to 6 in all these titles. The assessment and reflection, so you can see each of the topics when they're finished. So you focus on the topic, you work through the units progressively, and then at the end of each topic you have the test yourself section as well. So it's an NAPLAN style test. So again, getting students ready for when they come up to NAPLAN as well, be familiar with it, but also answering questions that are relevant to what they've been taught and what they've just learned, and the understanding that is shown by answering these test questions. Then there's self-reflection, as we talked about. It's highlighted here, where it's to be drawn from students as well, and it will help teachers identify where students might need some further support. And if with those concepts, if they need to go back, they can then highlight that with students and reference it where needed. So Oxford Owl, I mentioned before, has a lot of free grammar digital resources. So I'll quickly touch on these. We'll go live now. So once I've got to shift to another page, folks, I might drop out for a second, so don't think we're finished. Just please wait, and when it comes up, we'll be live. Okay, so I'm just going to keep moving, folks. I'm hoping that you can see this. I'll keep talking as well. There might be a bit of a lag, but again, you'll get back to this on the recording as well. I've logged into Oxford Owl. Anyone who hasn't logged into Oxford Owl before or registered, you can do so. Just go back to that website that was referenced on the last slide. It's www.oxfordowl.com.au. Very simple. If you've already got an account, you just log in, because everything I'm going to show you in this tile is already free and accessible and ties in beautifully with all of the resources that are available now for Oxford Grammar. So we slide down, scroll down to the bottom here, we'll see Oxford Grammar. We click on the tile and it brings us into the Oxford Grammar part of Oxford Owl. The curriculum charts are in here, as I mentioned before. So if I click on those, again, I'm just going to keep moving, folks, and you'll see the Australian curriculum referenced here, New South Wales curricula, and also Victorian curriculum as well. We click on any of those, you'll see how it comes up again with the focus and the stages, and I can print those out and utilise them when using Oxford Grammar. Little checklist here for success criteria and all of the year levels, and that's just a little tick box that I can utilise with my students to make sure they're progressing. The grammar guides for teachers, these videos are fantastic. Great for introducing new concepts with students, referencing back to them as well. If I click on them and play, we have sentences.
In this video, we're going to talk about subjects and predicates of sentences, as well as some different types of sentences. So sentences are made up of two parts, the subject and the predicate.
Okay. So lots of different videos you can utilise with your students, as I said. And again, no cost to this, which is great. All the answers for the student books. Glossaries, which I mentioned before, which are already found in the student book, but you can also click and project through here as well if you want to look at different concepts relating to Oxford Grammar. Ties in with the Oxford word list. You can click through there and make your own word lists as well. And also the lesson planning, which I referenced earlier. It lays it all out for you there as well, what to do in each term, each week, what unit number, how many lessons as well. And that again ties in with what's referenced in the teacher books. So just a quick little look here. As I said before, you can come and log in or sign up. It doesn't cost anything to access Oxford Hour. And once you're in here, you can then go down to the Oxford Grammar tile. There are some other free resources in here that you might want to utilise as well. We don't have time to delve on them today, but yeah, best to speak to your sales consultant in your state and territory, and they'll be able to assist you with that. Once again, folks, I'm just going to click back into that slideshow, so there might be a bit of a lag, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with you very shortly. Okay, so how much are the books and when are they available? The good thing is that the Oxford Grammar student books and one of the teacher books are already available. You can see 1 through to 6, all at the same cost at $18.95, which for everything that's in there is a steal. The teacher books are both $64.95. Only the F to 2 is available at this time, but it won't be far away before the 3 to 6. It's the end of August next month, and they'll be available as well. So all ready and raring to go for next year. And as I mentioned before, you'll get access to a free ebook of the teacher book following today's session as well. So just a quick wrap up, folks. We're almost at that time. Just a bit of a summary about what we've talked about today, why you might want to use Oxford Grammar if you're not already, why you should continue using the program if you are already using it as well. So again, just building on his work from previous editions of Oxford Grammar and also other grammar resources, Andrew Woods has written another fantastic program and resource here. He's added to this with the new teacher books as well. So that detail in here with that program of delivery just helps it make it even more comprehensive. Hopefully allay any fears in a classroom in a school that these books are designed as busy work, which they're not. They're designed as consolidation tools for all that explicit teaching, and it is here now developed for you as well across foundation through to 6. Most up-to-date curriculum aligned editions on the market, so you can't get any better than that in relation to curriculum. So they're as up-to-date as you can get. Full colour, so you can see with the pages, you know, very engaging. And the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover, but we know that that is not always the case, especially with primary age students. These modern illustrations, building the monsters into them as well that progress through the book, pop up with little hints and tips as well, and host the books. Yeah, they're just very engaging and eye-catching. The built-in NAPLAN style practice with the test yourself pages, which are great. Also there for that self-reflection and that help with the consolidation of understanding. And also the differentiation that's incorporated here. So ideas and activities that you can utilise, all referenced for each of the units, apart from years 1 through to 6. The application of learning with grammar in action, so we can see what's happening in these books and what we're teaching students being applied in their own writing. Exposing students to a range of text types as well, and showing what we're teaching them in context, so they can see it inside the different text types, the narratives, the expositions, persuasive texts, and also poems, comics, and so on. And with all that online support via the free digital resources at Oxford Hour, that's just going to help with that implementation of explicit teaching of this program in your classroom as well. So Oxford Grammar is an important part of your whole literacy program. I won't delve on all of these today, but there is lots of other resources that can help make your literacy program in your school even more well-rounded with what we provide. So Writing Legends is one of those from years 3 to 6 that's available. A great way to digitally to teach your students and allow them to apply everything that you're teaching them about grammar and also writing and using the English language. Oxford dictionaries, reading for comprehension with guided reading that tie in beautifully with Oxford Grammar as well. The Oxford word lists, which is utilised in thousands of schools across Australia, that also ties in nicely with what you're teaching with Oxford Grammar and also your literacy component in your school. And that's it, folks. So as I said, there was a bit to get through. Hopefully I've given you a good understanding of what is available in the new edition of Oxford Grammar. I'm sure you've probably been putting some questions in the Q&A as we've gone through. Just before we go into that, again, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. As I said, I know how valuable a teacher's time is, and with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, the craziness to come along today and find out about Oxford Grammar 2nd edition is fantastic.